Because questions that councils ask, do you have any friends and family you could stay with? If someone doesn't know the system and says yes, meaning they can stay on a friend's sofa, why would somebody who is a British citizen, doesn't matter race, British citizenship, who has been paying taxes, waiting on the council list for over 10 years, will not be able to get housing because we allow around 48,000 nearly every year to have refugees.
I just got to push back.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Julian Discourse. There is nothing the establishment media hates more than a working class reality check. For years, progressive pundits have sat in comfortable TV studios, lecturing ordinary citizens that the migrant social housing crisis is just a right-wing myth. But watch what happens in this clip when an actual housing expert steps in and explicitly proves how the system pushes British taxpayers to the back of the queue to prioritize refugees. Instead of engaging with the undeniable facts, the liberal host immediately panics, screams racism, and openly insults the working class callers who dare to agree with her. Hit subscribe. And let's watch the elite narrative completely collapse in real time.
I think Nigel Farage will be delighted that I am absolutely outraged.
Oh, right.
And I really am outraged. It's actually not funny at all. He seems now to be scrambling around for some votes on the extreme fringes of our society because of the threat that he perceives from Rupert Lowe and his vile Restore Brigade. Let's be absolutely clear about this. This is about people who have indefinite leave to remain, who have already been granted that by the state, so they can live here for the rest of their lives. They may, at some point, have stumbled on hard times. They may have been living here for 20, 30 years, and they've got access to some benefits. And they live in social housing, some of these people. And Farage is literally saying, it seems to me, and he's written this 6,000-odd word piece on Substack, he is literally saying, OK, if we get into power, we're going to say to you lot, you have to leave your homes where you might have been for years and years, and you're completely legitimately there. And if you don't find private housing within 3 months, we may deport you. That actually, I'm afraid, is the sort of policies that we might have expected in the early 1930s. It's shameful, and as I say, it is outrageous.
There's this misconception that people that arrive here they can't access council housing. I've worked in social housing for 14 years and they do have access to it. And I'll tell you how. When people come over here, whether it's through legal channels or through boats, and if they are given refugee status, right, then the responsibility of the Home Office goes over to the council. Right. So they have 28 days. As soon as that boat crosser or whoever comes over here wanting asylum, as soon as they're given that refugee status, they're given 28 days to leave.
But haven't you answered your own question there, which is these are not people who just arrive. Yeah. These are not people who are students or have visas. You know, all these things have got no recourse to public funds. You can't get any help from the state. These are people who have come here for whichever means, as you said. Yeah. They've been assessed and our Home Office has gone, you can stay. Now, once that says you can stay, then they have the same rights as everybody else.
And not just stay, not just stay temporarily, stay indefinitely, which means you can stay here forever.
In an ideal world, in a fantasy-driven world, we would like to house everybody across the world that is deemed as a refugee. We are a small country, we have limited housing stock, and at present, we have 1.3 million people waiting to be housed. Sure. Now, the reason why British people are pushed to the back of the list is because questions that councils ask, do you have any friends and family you could stay with? If someone doesn't know the system and says yes, meaning they can stay on a friend's sofa, they are pushed to the back of the queue. A person with refugee status who has no one will be bumped up to Category A and they will get social housing. So why would somebody who is a British citizen, doesn't matter, irrespective of colour, this is not about race, British citizenship, who has been paying taxes, waiting on the council list for over 10 years, will not be able to get housing because we allow around 48,000 nearly every year to have refugees.
I've just got to push back on this. Now, I've got to push. This is really serious stuff. First of all, we say it's not about colour.
No, it's not.
Nigel Farage's own words.
I'm brown. I'm a British citizen.
No, you may well be. There are lots of brown people in this country. Nigel Farage's own words. Anti-white racism was embedded into the state. So he's talking about skin colour. And let's be absolutely clear, because I don't think the penny has dropped yet.
The conversation about housing?
There may well be a conversation to be had about how you house people moving forward. And of course, we have responsibilities to everybody in this country once you are allowed in this country. We would not somewhere like India, where you have people lining the streets as you move from the airport into Mumbai. We're a civilised country. And yes, there is a shortage of houses, but what we do not do as a response to that is to point over there and say foreigners. And as I say, he's talking about people who may have been in this country for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, many of whom will have paid into society, if not all of whom, and he's going to rip them out of their homes, rip them out of their homes. He's ripping them out of their homes, and he's saying, if you don't go and find somewhere else 3 months, we may deport you. How dare this man say it is spectacularly anti-British? How dare he say that he is going to rip families out of their homes who've been here for many years, some of them, and say,
Matt,
sorry, we may deport you. This is outrageous.
Tony in Essex. Tony, what do you think about evicting people who've lived in social housing for, however long, and they're part of that community, they have family, they've got children. What do you think about the morality of that?
Can I just say good morning to the panel?
Hi.
Peace and love to everybody.
Yeah.
I live in Clacton-on-Sea, which is where I live. Peace and love to everybody. And I've seen so many, how can I put this, solace to people where I see people drinking on streets and stuff like that. It doesn't agree with me, but what I'm saying is, can not everybody give themselves a cuddle?
Right.
Tony, I mean, we all want to cuddle. That's a lovely message today. Kenny in West Sussex, what's your take on this incredibly divisive issue?
Yeah, it is a very divisive issue, but I actually agree with Nigel Farage. We've got people on the streets everywhere. I'm originally from Northern Ireland. You've people on the streets. I live in West Sussex now. You've got people on the streets, people begging. When you get out of Croydon, I work up there. You've got people begging, who are wrapped in a blanket. They should be housed before people coming into the country.
And your answer to that, Kenny, is to take more people and put them on the streets effectively, or deport them, even if they've lived in this country for 10, 15, 20 years. What an astonishing conclusion to draw from the misery that you've just said you've witnessed.
There is nothing more revealing than watching a progressive pundit's moral superiority completely shatter the second it collides with hard reality. When that liberal host sat in the studio screaming about the 1930s, he genuinely believed he held the high ground. But when housing expert Lynn May calmly explained exactly how the UK social housing system actually operates, she exposed the entire establishment's playbook. When cornered by the facts, the host immediately defaulted to the left's only remaining defense mechanism, calling working class callers liars and despicable, simply for noticing what is happening in their own communities. To understand why this issue is politically radioactive today in 2026, you have to look at the undeniable facts the media refuses to cover honestly. May was 100% correct. When the Home Office grants an asylum seeker refugee status, they are given a 28-day move-on period to leave state-funded hotels. Because they technically have no local ties, councils are legally forced to place them into the highest emergency housing priority bracket, Category A. Meanwhile, a British citizen who has paid taxes into that exact system for decades is actively penalised. If a working class mother admits to the council that she can temporarily sleep on a friend's sofa, she's pushed to the back of a waitlist that currently sits at over 1.3 million people. This isn't a right-wing conspiracy theory, it is mathematical reality. Following the record-shattering net migration figures of 2022 and 2023, the system completely broke. By early 2024, massive local authorities like Birmingham and Nottingham were declaring effective bankruptcy, explicitly citing the crushing cost of emergency temporary accommodation. The progressive left demands an open-door welfare state, but expects the British working class to surrender their place in line. A nation simply cannot survive when its government actively prioritizes foreign citizens over its own people. Thanks for watching Julian Discourse. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and I'll see you next time.